It's the Slam Dunk.
So I want to talk more about the day I lost my job at Today FM, how it affected me and my family and my confidence, my mental health, and just my daily interactions in public. Thousands of Kiwis are doing it hard right now and losing their jobs. Public servants, journalists, thousands of workers either paying the price of a change of government or paying the price because the arse has fallen out of the advertising market for news. This has been a rapid and spectacular collapse. There's no doubt about that. Naturally, the people losing their jobs are upset, they're unsure what's next, and they're worried. For me, 1 minute, I had the best job in the world, hosting this morning talk show. By lunchtime, we were off air in a brutal shutdown. We were walking down the road facing redundancy and a tight media market that was contracting, shedding jobs and losing money. I was 49, homeless, unemployed, and now living with my mother as I worked out what to do next. Here's what I learned. This is what I learned. Keep talking to your current employer how you might remain in the business. Don't rush into anything or make a decision you'll regret. My advice is not to overthink it, don't take it personally, and use the time and redundancy to stay busy, stay on your feet and take a short holiday to get some perspective if you can. This is traumatic and it's natural to feel a deep sense of loss and pain and worry. It's okay to be upset. But remember, you will be happy again and you'll be employed again. Talk to people and don't stop talking. Don't isolate yourself. Talk to people. Keep your dignity. Be polite. You'll never know who you might meet in the lift or the stairwell, so you be good. Keep your mind open and even design a job and put it in front of them. I said I'd podcast and MediaWorks jumped at it. Or was it the other way around? Maybe. I think it was the other way around. Anyway, try to stay positive, as it's likely the positive person will be employed before the bitter and negative hack. Keep a routine, don't sleep in, and don't sleep all day. Get off welfare before you make it permanent. I know two people who may never come off it, yet they could be working. Keep the job loss in perspective. It's a job loss. Millions go through this, and you are now too, okay? Remember, keep perspective, no one's died. This could be long, what I'm about to do, and it's personal. I'm trying to explain a very delicate thing here, but I'm doing so in the hope that others losing their jobs or who fear they will can take something from this for their own benefit. And I think I may have mentioned this before, but if not, or if you've forgotten, the on-air collapse of Today FM was only one of 4 major and devastating events that all happened to me at about the same time. This is why I was relatively calm when it all happened, because there was other shit going down with me, you see. I was coping with so much other stuff that I was compartmentalising all these issues, and it was all happening at different times. Any one of the following might trigger a major life meltdown, but I lost my job, I lost my house, my money and my marriage, all within the same week. I'll repeat that. The job, the house, the money and the marriage, all gone in the same week. But I was free from this 5-year messy divorce, free from the clutches of the lawyers who were charging more than you could actually earn in a day. And my house was gone, sold. And the money, well, that was cut in half. And by the time I paid the lawyers, not much is there. Divorce comes with a huge price tag, and many won't recover from this. That's what I was going through when I lost the job at Today FM. Now, a year later, the industry is fast collapsing too, isn't it? It's not great. This is a double whammy. Avoid divorcing the wife and the job at the same time. It doesn't do you any favours. It's not good. It doesn't help you. It likely means that the house goes too. These are big and these are traumatic events. And on their own, they're massive, let alone when they're all lumped together. Avoid lawyers. Avoid the disastrous family court. The winner isn't always the ethical one. And get a deal done early. My ex's lawyers thought I had cash stashed in a Swiss bank account. What an awful piece of work that was. Wild assumptions, which are wildly wrong. Anyway, that's a bit of a digression, but gosh, she was nasty. Anyway, a judge warned us that the lawyers would financially ruin us, and I knew that, and I tried for a number of years to get it sorted out, but no, that's the hard facts of divorce in the court, okay? And I couldn't really talk to her because I'd already been trespassed and arrested. Now, when all this is going down, the last thing you expect is to lose your job. And that happened in this week. The funny thing about everything collapsing on me was I felt like the scene from Shawshank Redemption when the prisoners are drinking the beers on top of the prison roof after painting it. And I finally felt free. I couldn't see red or anything, but I was free. Suddenly, that freedom was met with the shock of a very public job loss, though. And it was in front of the public. Now, I wasn't prepared for that. And I acted by withdrawing and going quiet, which is probably not the thing to do. Everything was coming to a head. I just hadn't contemplated losing the job as a talkback host. I love that. It was one of my reasons for being. I love the callers, and I felt that we both needed this. I contemplated taking myself out of living, really. I was reeling from everything and feeling so much pain, and I'd cry. So taking myself out was an option. It crossed my mind, but not seriously enough, thank goodness. I needed to get the pain out of the system. It was like I was throbbing inside from pain. The body, the head and the heart was hurting. I needed it to go. But I've got children, and doing something drastic and silly like that would have created, well, it was selfish, wouldn't it? Would have created more pain. So it wasn't an option, despite feeling pretty helpless at times, and at the end myself, to be honest. Everyone is so wrapped up in their own lives that close friends who knew all these things were individually going on. They all knew they were going on, but they never really lumped them all together and asked, fuck, mate, are you okay here? But no one really did. I was expected to take all this in my stride, be a great and present dad, not be upset or angry, and carry on, find work, be strong, smile, do everything again tomorrow, and just like I've always done. What about, can I tap out at some stage? This is getting too hard. But it gets too hard when the job goes. Remember, I've just given the ex-wife half of everything. I managed to buy and build and save with blood, sweat and tears, 32 years of hard work, and a marriage that lasted 7 years, and boom, halfway down the middle, bang, it's yours. Advice from me. Trust no one, do a prenup, live apart. That's for another day. Save, save, save. In case you lose your job, have at least 3 months' wages and savings as a buffer, because that's what you're going to need. And in that week, I lost my job. Rather than buying a $100,000 new boat or $50,000 new car or paying some of the house off, I spent $150,000 on a family lawyer who was on holiday on Ireland. I rang them up, said, here's the money. And they said, thank you, we're on Ireland, just put it in the bank. How long would it take you to save $150,000? I should write a book, but you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that happens, even if I wrote it down. So I'm going to tell you now. Losing your job alongside your marriage and house has a devastating effect, and it did for me. And it meant starting again in an industry that wasn't starting anything again. This was an industry that was starting its own funeral service. Journalism is closing its doors and ending careers. That's what was going on. They weren't hiring people. I'm doing people a favour by warning them with all this. This is what can happen when life turns to shit quickly across all fronts. So I'm just giving you a heads up. I dealt with it, and I'm still dealing with it. I lost my full-time job. Now I podcast as the editor-in-chief on not too much. I write the odd newspaper opinion piece, and that's journalism today. Just remember, if you think it's bad, someone else is actually doing it much harder. So have some perspective. And this is why I breathe and I think before reacting these days. Staying calm and not panicking is crucial. We don't do panic. We don't do panic. You don't panic. No, we don't panic. Sadly, having sympathy from the PM doesn't pay the bills. Thank you, Christopher. Take the time to rethink things and recharge. Something will come along. You've got skills and you're employable. So if you're losing your job, consider this. Don't take too much time out. It's harder to get a job the longer you lounge around. So keep active. Upskill, try something different. You might want to become a gardener. Or a bus driver. It's not your fault. Don't take it personally. But remember, you're not particularly special either, so don't think that everyone's waiting for you. Don't wait for the government's rescue package. It's not coming. When it does, Winston will be aged 100, so you can forget that. No urgency, no vision, no clue, no idea. And that's just Melissa Lee. Right. Days after losing the job, I had to go to a mate's 50th birthday. I dressed up as Elton John. It was fancy dress. Everyone was talking about this Today FM shock demise as it happened live, because people had seen it, listened to it, was online, it was everywhere. I was exhausted by it, and I felt like I was on display for people to point at and throw questions to. My advice, only go places you really want to be. Avoid becoming a hermit, and don't isolate yourself forever, because opportunities will pass you by. Simple as that. Get out where possible. It's good for you, and it's good for your mental health. Do some exercise. You'd be surprised at what it can do. In many ways, I'm still getting back on the horse. It's taken a year or so. Job losses are not numbers. They're human beings, real people with real families and real feelings and hopes and dreams and all that. And then it upends them. And some lose confidence and some lose self-belief, and many never recover. It is distressing losing a gig. And common questions include, how do I pay the rent? How do I pay the mortgage? And who do I see to get a job? Given this industry is collapsing, you'd think the hapless Melissa Lee would have tried to do something. I'm not saying she can save the industry, but even by way of a venue to host interested parties, or by offering expressions of interest process for those who may wish to buy some TV assets, just at least look like you know what you're doing. The lack of creative thinking and solutions is bordering on negligence from a minister who's been exposed as having concrete in his shoes and a light brain. None of the issues are new, but Lee and the previous government and the government before that, they did nothing. They started the process and sat back and watched. They watched as the industry was diagnosed as terminal, and they went home and they started a slow clap as the media dropped one by one. Saving the media has never been on National's 900-day plan, let alone the first 100. This is Utu. But Melissa Lee, how questionable is she? I just call it negligence. So what about now? After much soul-searching, self-doubt and time spent alone, which where I was fishing, I'm 201 podcasts deep with Duncan, Garner, editor-in-chief. But that's changing too. We're launching a new podcast. It's an early morning podcast. It'll be live, and it's my take on the news and what's making news, and we'll interview newsmakers as well. And we'll break news, Miranda. We'll break news. Fast, punchy, and to the point, DG Live. That's what we're going to do. I've set up my own company, so I contract here now. The media is... pretty limited nowadays. The days of the media superstars, the big fat cat salaries, they're gone. This whole industry has now changed. I could make more if I went labouring probably, but I still love journalism and broadcasting. It's all I know really. It's all I've been really doing since the age of 14. I'm not ready to shut up shop yet or just go away. Not yet. Okay, I've looked at buying a lawn mowing business. I looked at this on the North Shore. It was going to cost $15,000, but winter's ugly and you don't mow lawns. I looked at buying a laundromat, and I kept looking till I keeled over. I thought about returning to politics, journalism in Wellington, but that proves to most people that I need to be admitted immediately to a psychiatric ward for testing. But yes, it's now a giant fight and a struggle to stay in journalism. Technology, audiences, advertising, it's either radically changed or just disappeared. The podcast I host will look, feel and sound dramatically different within weeks. That's largely what I've been doing this last few weeks, just getting this ready. So I'm ready to go. As a result, I'm no longer an employee with annual leave and sick days and KiwiSaver and all those things. I just come in here and do the podcast and bugger off, I'm a contractor. That's what a lot of journalists are going to become now. I do the odd bit of MC work and make speeches, but work is lean, the economy's turned south, and businesses are keeping their cards and plans and cash and their money close to their chest. That's life, and that will loosen up at some stage. All of this is very personal, which means it will have been pretty raw, what I've been saying, but I'm doing this because people are better understanding what it's like to lose a job and the pain, the embarrassment and humiliation that comes with it. You shouldn't be humiliated and embarrassed, but sometimes you can't help but feel that way. The economy has early winter blues. Everywhere I look now, New Zealand appears to be shedding jobs. We are the chosen ones, except no one wants to be us, because we're losing jobs. Thousands of jobs across the wider public service are going, and hundreds across the media are going as well. No one should expect Melissa Lee to save this industry. She can barely save herself from another inept and woeful performance. That's the truth. It's only a matter of time before Lee is removed from cabinet for being totally incompetent. On merit, she should be gone by now. Why are they hanging on to her? The media's collapse is not her fault, but her grasp of the issues and her inability to look and sound like she knows what to do is worth the price of the entry alone, isn't it? The media as we know it will soon be gone, but many, many other specialist podcasts and digital news and current affairs shows, online and debate forums will emerge. So it's an exciting time, full of opportunity or something to fear, if the glass is always close and empty, I suppose. Change is never easy. The last year has been proof of that, but change is always inevitable. It's how we cope with it. That's the defining bit, I reckon. It's not so much the change, but how we cope with the change. Democracy's not dying. I've heard this. Democracy is about giving people options and choices. And we've given them options and choices by providing them phones and ultra-fast broadband here and overseas. And they voted overwhelmingly to go mobile. At any time of the day or night, they choose who they watch, when and where. The consumer is all powerful now. It's no longer once a day when the big idiot box struck 6 o'clock and you must watch it or you miss out. It's in people's hands. It's their choice.